Hello there and welcome. This is Jennifer McGuire, and I hope all is well in your world. Now, today I thought I'd share with you ways to add scratch off elements to your cards. Now, in particular, I'll show how to create some Valentines that my daughter will be giving to her class this year. However, you can apply these scratch off techniques to any cards that you may make. I will show you both how to create scratch off cards with pre-made scratch off products. And then I will show you how to create your own scratch-off products if you prefer to do that instead. But regardless of which way you create the scratch-off, I think it's a fun element to add to a card. For the Valentines I'm making today, I have 2 free downloads over on my blog. One is in black and one is in colored. And I'll explain why I have the 2 options a bit later. Now, these downloads are Valentine jokes that your child can give to someone else. And it has the joke across the top, and the punchline will be underneath the scratch off surface. Now, when you print these, there are actually 2 pages to each download, so you end up with 10 different Valentine jokes. Now, once you print these out, to cut them, you just follow the little tick marks that are provided on the sheet. Super easy to do, it doesn't cost anything, and I thought I'd share these with you in case you want to make the same Valentines with your kids. When you cut these down, you'll end up with Valentines that are 3 inches by 4 inches, which I think is the perfect size for Valentine. For my video today, I decided to use the black and white download, so there's no color printing here. The reason I did that is because I printed these on a LaserJet printer. If you print with a LaserJet printer, you can use foil on the printing, and that's what I'm going to show you today. It does not work with an inkjet printer. I have an inexpensive LaserJet printer at home that just does black printing, and I'll link to it below if you want to check it out. If you do not have a LaserJet printer, that's okay. You can just take the download to a local Kinko's or other print shop, and they can print it for you on a LaserJet printer, and then you could add the foiling. If you want to save the time, you can skip the foiling and use it as is, or use the color download. So let me show you how I added this foiling because I feel like it adds a lot to this Valentine and it's very easy to do. And then we'll do the scratch off. I'm using an inexpensive laminator for this. Any laminator should work for this. You can even use your Mink machine if you have one of the older laminating Mink machines that Heidi Swapp offered. But today I thought I'd share using this basic laminator. This is the one that I use for all my laminating purposes and for foiling. So what I do is I turn it on, make sure it's on the heat setting, and I let it warm up for about 20 minutes so that it's good and hot and ready to go. The foils that I'm using today are from Gina K. I really like the quality of her foils. They're made by ThermaWeb, which I feel makes the best foils out there. And there are lots of colors, even some that have like a sparkly finish, like that radiant red on the left. You can find any color you could absolutely want, but I decided to go with the sparkly red and gold for today's examples. But the fun thing about foils is you can use more than one color on a project, and I'll show you how to do that here. You just need to cut pieces from the foil that are about the right size to cover the area you want in that color. So I want the middle area to be gold, and then I want the sentiment on the top and the to and from on the bottom to be in the red sparkle. So I trim those pieces down. It doesn't have to be perfect. You can see these are just quickly cut. And I'm putting them right over that text, making sure that the red overlaps just the words that I want to be in red and the gold overlaps the words I want in gold. I'm putting that into a folded piece of parchment paper. I'll link to the kind that I use below, but you might have some other parchment papers on hand. Now I'm feeding this through my laminator, and it'll provide heat and pressure, which will transfer that foil onto that LaserJet printing. So now I can just take it out, peel off the foil, and I can reuse those foil pieces again, the areas that didn't transfer, and look at that beautiful foiling that we get. You can see how it adds a little bit of fun to have that shine instead of just having it printed in color. It didn't take too long to do a bunch of these this way, so I went ahead and did foiling the same for all of my examples today. Now it's time to do the different scratch-off features. I'm first going to show the easiest way to do a scratch-off, and that is to use scratch-off stickers. These are actually pretty inexpensive, and Inky Antics has several different types of scratch-off stickers available in different sizes and shapes. I decided to go with the 2-inch circle scratch-off stickers. This is the perfect fit for the downloads that I have available on my blog, and I'll link to the ones that I use below. These are very easy to add to your card. All you do is peel and stick it on like a normal sticker. However, I wanted to make sure I got it centered. I figured if I put that big silver sticker down off center, it would really stand out like a sore thumb. So I have another piece of 3 by 4-inch cardstock that I'm going to use as a template. I die cut a circle centered up on that, and it is a little bit bigger than the 2-inch circle. So this is about a 2.5-inch circle. That way I could line up the pink circle, put the template around it, tape the template temporarily in place, and now I know that inside of this template would be the perfect centering position for the sticker. Now this may seem excessive, but I really wanted to make sure I got these centered. To be honest with you, I ended up ditching the template later on, and I just stuck the sticker down from then on out, and I was pretty good about centering them. But now I can know that's centered perfectly and covering the little punchline to our joke. I used 80-pound cardstock for the Valentines so that I could feed it through my printer easily. And that's kind of lightweight for me. I like to use a heavier weight cardstock. So to give it a little more strength, I decided to mat each of my Valentines with a piece of red cardstock. It also gives it a nice finished look. Now for the coin on the Valentine, I tape it to the back with some gold washi tape, gold glitter washi tape. I decided to do dollar coins because I thought the kids would think that was really unique, but you could use a penny or quarter or whatever you want. Now all Lila and I have to do is write the little names on the bottom and we're good to go. You could also put this in a little envelope if you wanted to. So here you can see how easily it scratches off. I just wanted to show you one as an example. And you can see the gold foil punchline underneath. It works wonderfully. Now, if you don't want to buy the scratch-off stickers, you can create your own scratch-off stickers. It takes some time, but really isn't too bad to make a bunch at once. What you need is some parchment paper or leftover release paper from an adhesive sheet. You put clear packing tape on it. So you saw I put some thick clear packing tape down onto the parchment paper. And then you take a circle die, or whatever shape you want, run it through your die cut machine, and basically what you're doing is die cutting a clear, sticky circle. The tape doesn't really stick that much to the parchment, just a little bit, so that's why we're using parchment paper underneath it. So now we have a clear, sticky circle that we need to add the scratch-off feature to. I'm only making 3 here, but you could definitely make a bunch of these at once. So I'm putting the clear circle stickers onto a bigger piece of parchment so I can paint them all at once. We're going to create a mixture of paint and dish soap that ends up being the perfect thing for scratch off. I'm using this silver acrylic paint from Dina Wakley. Now this is a great acrylic paint. It's a heavy-bodied acrylic paint, but any kind of silver acrylic paint should work here, even the inexpensive stuff that you can get at a craft store. You can see that this one's pretty thick and it's just beautifully shiny. But really, whatever you got will work. You could do other colors too, but I think the silver look is what people recognize with scratch off, so I think it's a good option. Now it's time to add to this paint some dish soap. Any dish soap should work for this. I used what was in my kitchen. Usually you want about 1 part dish soap for 2 parts of paint, but it really depends on how thick your paint is. So what I like to do is mix it up on a piece of scrap paper and anything else. Usually I actually use my work surface, but I wanted to be able to set this aside. So I mix it up until you see it's thin, that when you tilt it, it starts to run down. You really don't have to have it just perfect. I found that this is a pretty forgiving technique. You just want to make sure you put enough dish soap into it that it becomes a little bit thinner. Okay, now I'm using a foam brush, any brush would work, to paint a thin layer of this over each of the stickers. Now you'll see it's thin, so it doesn't really cover the sticker completely. So I ended up doing 2 coats of this. Depending on how thin you made your mix, you might have to do more than 2 coats, maybe 3 or 4. But you can see how quickly I was able to add this. Now I'll set this aside to dry. And then later I'll come back and add another coat when it's dry. So you just kind of do it, set it aside, go do something else, and then come back and add another coat. But this is an easy way to make your own scratch off if you don't want to buy the stickers. But honestly, I like the look of the stickers. I like that it saves time, and the price point's pretty good too. I just wanted to be sure to share both options here in case you couldn't get your hands onto the scratch off stickers. Okay, so after I covered these with 2 coats of the paint, I removed one of the stickers and I'm adding it down over the punch line. This is actually smaller circle. This is about 1 3/4 inch because my tape wasn't wide enough to do a 2-inch circle. So that's something to keep in mind, that you are limited by how thick your tape is. But I think you can also use contact paper instead of packing tape if you have that instead. Now here I did a scratch off just to show you how well this scratches off. So this is another option for adding a scratch off feature to your card. Before we go, I wanted to show you this stamp set. This is from Simon Says Stamp. It came out quite a while ago, but it's called the It's No Secret stamp set. This was designed to go with scratch off stickers. If you look, there's things like you can stamp "It's no secret," and then when you scratch it off, it says "You're amazing" or "Happy birthday." There are even little images that say "Scratch here" with little arrows. So you can add those next to your scratch off feature. So even though I used a printed sentiment and printed card today, you could instead do stamping along with the scratch off feature. So I like when there are things like this that allow you to get more out of your products. All right, I hope this was helpful to you and that you'll give a scratch off card a try. Perfect for Valentine's Day, but you could use it all year round too. If you're interested in these supplies, I have all of them linked below in my YouTube description. Also, be sure to go to my blog for a ton of more information, including those free downloads. And I know I say it every time, but I really do appreciate the time that you spend watching my videos. I hope they're helpful, and we'll see you again soon.